became a fan in the same year that and on the first tour that I ever did, the first professional touring that I ever did, I was on tour in the UK or Europe, one or the other, when I got the Legacy. So when I really, sure, I had the Legacy demo a little bit prior, but I didn't really know what to make of it. I kind of liked it, but it wasn't really my thing. But when I heard the album, the better production, the crisp, and all the performances just being totally on point, that's when it clicked with me. And I became a massive fan of the band, but they were, of course they were on a higher tier, but they were kind of peers, they weren't a band that I grew up with. They were a band that I sort of came of age with as they did, you know what I mean? My career started the same year as theirs did, 1987. And but I loved them, and I purchased every record, but I had never tried to learn really any of it until that moment, and that I was offered the gig, and I did it. And after we practiced at the rehearsal space, they wanted to go get lunch at it. Let's take a break and go get lunch. He said, at this cafe over here, then we'll come back and run it again. And because they had given me some pointers and tips and this and that, just it almost seemed like sort of set up, like staged. But I went to lunch with them at a cafe near the rehearsal place, and at some point I got up and said, I just got to hit the head real quick, and I went to the restroom. And it's like they had it planned, like they were trying to get me to have to go to the restroom. They're waiting for me to go to the bathroom. And when I did, they had their little plan, and they did this whole thing. They were all just sort of sitting there kind of grim, like
like it ain't gonna work.
And he goes like, dude, we don't really need to go back and run through it again. We've kind of made up our mind, and so we're just gonna drop the hammer now, and there's no point. And they're all just looking like trying to not make eye contact and just looking like bummed out, and kind of.
Yeah.
And then he told me I had the gig. And then
what was your first thought?
I was just like trying to read the room, and I was just, I was still sort of shell shocked a little bit anyway, and I was like, well, I don't know what to make of this. It doesn't look that promising. They don't even want to go back and go at it again. Maybe they've either decided to me going to the bathroom. Honestly, what I thought was that me going to the restroom gave them their first moment to confer privately with each other and make sure they were all on the same page, and that perhaps they didn't really feel like I was the guy.
Right. The thing is, like, where I would be at is like, man, it could be anything. Like, your playing could be top notch, but if one dude not feeling your personality, you know what I mean? That's what I would be.
Yeah. It could literally be anything. But they welcomed me to the band, and it was like
great way to do it.
It was just good times.
Yeah.
It was just we had a great night. We finished our food, hung out, had some drinks, this, that, and the other. I don't even remember now whether we even went back to the rehearsal space and played some more. We probably did, but probably not too much, And but it was a whole different vibe after that. It was just like, yes, Now, but immediately the thoughts started flooding my head of, okay, I have to plan how to move to California.